Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community, and neighborhoods. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. We are privileged to have back in our studio today, and it's great timing, is the Sandhills Classical Christian School. We've probably had them on 6 to 7, 8 times over the years, and being here since 1999, I don't think I've ever seen a school grow their imprint more quickly than the Sandhills Classical Christian School. For those of you who have heard of it but aren't fully aware, you're going to become aware today. And if you drive on Raysbridge Road off Highway 22, you'll see their beautiful new campus. When I remember, we would see the school on West Pennsylvania Avenue in downtown Southern Pines. So we have 2 guests with us today. Jean Liechty is the development director for the school, and Jean has 18 years of experience in marketing and development. He had received his BA in marketing communications from Indiana University. What a football team this year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I tell you what, go Hoosiers.
Oh my gosh. Your kids actually went to a classical Christian school in Cary, if I recall.
That's correct.
Is that
yeah.
right?
2 of them graduated out of Cary Christian School, which
Right.
is a large campus up there in the center of town, and 2 graduated out of Logos School, which is in Moscow, Idaho. There are about 550 classical Christian schools that look a lot like Sandhills Classical Christian School
Right.
all around the country. As a matter of fact, North Carolina has 24 classical Christian campuses alone, and actually more than that, but 24 that are part of our particular association that we're accredited through. So it's amazing how the movement has exploded. And yes, you're right. I have 4 that graduated out of classical Christian schools a while ago.
Right.
I'm going to be 62, and my kids, let's see, they range in age between 21 and 26, and I'm already a granddad. And
You're an empty nester for sure.
I am. Unlike the other guest here on this show, Ryan Consie. Ryan also has 4, but his are considerably younger, and, well, if you could see us, you know, he looks quite a bit younger than I do as well.
Ryan doesn't have the time to play golf, is what you're saying.
No, not at this phase of life. Nope.
Well, Ryan Consie is our second guest, and he is on the board of directors at the school. And Ryan, you hold a BS in electrical engineering from Michigan Technological University and an MS in global supply chain management. And you're a pilot for UPS. Yes, sir. And you have 4 children. What ages?
And a 9-year-old daughter.
Wow. So we want to make sure that we want to get him completely hooked up. Let's do that one more time. Tell me the ages of your kids.
I have a 13-year-old daughter, a 12-year-old daughter, an 11-year-old son, and a 9-year-old daughter.
So do you sleep?
Fortunately, they're at the stage of their life where we do get some sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
You've got all those hormones raging and kids are growing up.
Well, we have there's a window here, right? Because
Yeah.
there's the young years, there's the middle school years, and then there's the teenage years where we are going to venture into here shortly.
I was out on Saturday with a young couple who have a 3-year-old. They're coming here from California. And we stood in front of a house in the Weymouth area. And what did we start to talk about? Private schools. Every young couple that's moving here, they have the option of public schools. They have the option of private schools. We talked about Sandhills Classical Christian, and I told them what I was telling you before the show, was that the students that I get to know in your school, they're so well-spoken, they're so accountable, they're so articulate, they look you in the eye, they shake your hand, they don't shrug their shoulders. they're on the balls of their feet. And I'll relay a story later in the show to bring that to light. How did you, when did you move here? That's my first question.
Well, this is my second stint here in the Sandhills. My first time I was stationed here from 2002 to 2005.
Oh, well, different time, boy.
Very, very different time.
Oh, my.
But we loved the area, and we knew we eventually wanted to come back.
Right.
And so we came back here in 2008, and we've been here ever since because we love this area.
So were you aware of Sandhills Classical Christian from your first stint or just from your second stint? Yeah.
From my second stint here, and actually I was aware of the school because the church we attend is Sandhills Presbyterian Church on PD Road.
Right.
And the school was at the church for a very short period of time.
You must know Glenn Fisher.
I do know Glenn
and
Fisher.
Vicky.
I do know Vicky.
Very good friends of mine. What
As
small world. That's what's so cool about this area, right? It's such a small world.
It's very interesting because we have a great relationship with that church and a school
Yep.
that's a ministry of that church. So
Yep.
Covenant Prep is also a classical Christian school, and they're just 2.5 miles from our campus.
Is that right?
But they offer a collaborative model. So as opposed to 5-day traditional with a more full-orbed arts and athletics program on a 60-acre campus that we have, they offer a 2- and 3-day-a-week program. And but it's wonderful to have them. As a matter of fact, I keep their brochures right at the front desk, one of the front desks of our school, so that when families come in, and if we're in a situation where we have to give folks the bad news that maybe in 1 or 2 grades we don't have any empty seats,
Right.
I'll say, hey, you don't want to leave them with nothing.
Right.
And so I'll say, you really need to just journey north here, or whatever direction it is. I'm not sure, but you need to go check them out because they provide a good classical, rigorous education in an environment that's very similar to ours. And so very thankful to have them as an option for families in the community as well. Not everybody wants 5-day traditional.
Well, we're gonna come back and talk about your 4 kids.
Okay.
But what I'd like to do is just sort of paint the picture in the opening set for those people who maybe are not familiar with the classical Christian school model and what it offers. And, if you're speaking to new parents coming into town, they'll ask us as real estate brokers questions. What would you like to tell them, Cliff Notes version of what they're looking at if they come to Sandhills Classical Christian? Gene?
Well, yeah, either of us could answer this, but I always tell folks when I take the mic or when I just have a couple in front of me that are interested in finding out more about what we offer, I always begin by saying, listen, our DNA is in our name. We're Sandhills Classical Christian School. So when you're trying to help them sort of understand what sets you apart or makes you different from the other private or public school options in the community,
Right.
That's really it, largely. We're the only classical Christian 5-day-a-week model. And then, of course, the question becomes, what do you mean by classical?
Yes.
So I always tell folks, there are books written on the subject, but this is the 30,000-foot abbreviated version. The classical refers to 2 things: how we teach, or our methodology, and what we teach. So we're going to be offering classes on campus that you wouldn't see at a school that's not classical, correct? And so how we teach and what we teach are greatly impacted by the classical. And so I always encourage folks, I'll say, come tour the school when we're in session,
Right.
because the magic's found in the classroom. So, and I encourage folks, even if they're coming and they're looking for, they've got a rising kindergartner, first grader, second grader, I'll say, yes, we're going to start there. I want you to be able to imagine your child in this classroom, in this setting, watch the teachers teach and look around at the students, and you may run into some parents here, feel free. But let's also venture up to the middle school and the upper school.
Right.
I want you to see, the proof's in the pudding. I want you to see the end product. I want you to see what that full-orbed fruit looks like when these kids are graduating and they're offering up their thesis, their junior thesis and their senior thesis.
Right.
We're looking to graduate kids, who are articulate with both the tongue and the pen,
Right.
and can hold their own. When they get out there in the marketplace of ideas, we want them to be winsome. It's not enough to win the argument. That's pretty short-sighted. We want them to win the person.
Right.
And so how do you do that, right? And so that's really it. And then the Christian, I've been talking about the classical, the Christian is just permeates everything. So it's at our school, it's Christ in math and Christ in science and Christ in literature. And so we bring the gospel to bear in everything. Folks will say, well, you haven't built a chapel on campus, or you haven't, when do you have Bible class? And I'll say, well, we have those, but we don't like to separate these things out. We like to
Right.
make it seamless in the minds of a 7-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old that this is how the gospel, we're studying the world that God created. And we want to do justice to that. So anyway, that's the DNA's in our name,
Yeah.
Sandhills Classical Christian School.
Couple of questions that I always get from parents who are inquiring. One is, what is the ratio of teachers to students? That's always a question. And the second one is, how do your college enrollments from high school compare to other schools in the area?
Okay. Well, let me start with the second one.
Yep.
We just got our national scores back, juniors and seniors, and our students tested in the 87th percentile when it comes to reading and writing. And the average student tested in the 87th percentile, 50 being the norm, right, nationally. So, and then in math, I think it was the 81st percentile. So we're very pleased. We don't teach to the test, right? We don't worry about that. We don't do that at all. But our students, because they're taught to think critically.
Right.
And they've had 5 years of Latin, which also helps them with verbal skills and learning other languages. And we're rigorous. So it's not enough for, a sophomore student to be able to regurgitate the plot of a story or talk about the antagonist or the protagonist. We're going to ask questions like, was this character in this story virtuous? And then by whose standard? So the level of engagement when it comes to any piece of literature is going to be several layers deeper than you might find at another school. They should be able to give you the plot and the protagonist and antagonist in fourth grade. So we want to sort of move beyond that. So, and you know what, Bill? I don't even remember your other question at this point.
Well, I think it's
The ratio.
The ratio.
Oh, the
there.
ratio.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
I would say, right now, I think our class sizes range anywhere from 15 to 20. We don't go over 20. We try to keep them as low as possible. So you have one teacher per class of 15 to 20. And then as it approaches that point of 20, we actually have teacher assistants that come in and help out as well.
Yeah.
That's correct. And in the lower grades, in kindergarten and first grade, there are assistants. And in kindergarten, every teacher has an assistant.
Yeah.
So there may be 18 in a class, but the ratio of adults to children
Right.
is 9 to 1. As they get older, because we have expectations, we're partnering with the families in the nurture and admonition of, in training them up, right? In the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And so with healthy partners, we don't have to worry as much about Johnny and Susie taking up 70% of the teacher's time because they're acting out in the back of the room. Mm-hmm. That doesn't occur at our school. It does occur at our school, but it gets addressed, right? And then the teacher can actually teach. So by the time these kids are in 5th grade, 7th grade, 11th grade, or they're seniors at our school, because the teachers can teach, it doesn't matter really how many would be in the class. You could be teaching a lecture hall full of students.
Right.
You're going to have the attention of the students because they're taught to give the teacher the attention. So
It goes back to the accountability that I see in the kids that I know. We're going to come back in the second set. I want to share with you a story that I think you will take to heart. And I want to talk to you, Ryan, about your kids and how they respond in school and how they in turn respond at home. Because You've got kids at the age where they're starting to feel their oats, and wait a minute, Mom and Dad, we have a point of view here we would like to share with you, right? And all of a sudden, they know everything, and they're starting to question everything, and I want to know how that is all going.
Right.
We're going to be talking about the Sandhills Classical Christian this entire hour, and we're also going to be talking about some new news, which we're going to spend the bulk of the balance of the show after we get through the opening of the next set. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our second set of All Things Moore County. We're speaking all about the Sandhills Classical Christian School today. We're going to start this set off by giving you guys a report card direct from the source. And the best report card you can get are the students that you put out into the world. And it's also the same report card that a parent gets for raising their kids consistently with the principles that the school espouses. And we're going to talk, Ryan, I want to talk right after that about your kids, and then Jean and Ryan, we're going to get into some big news that you want to talk about today that is very impactful for a lot of families in the Moore County area. So I've had the privilege of knowing Sarah Klein since her children were, Audrey was 2. And I remember when she was pregnant with Nate. And all these years I've seen these children grow. And Nate is 11, and I think Audrey is turning 13 in February. And these are 2 of the finest young kids you'll ever want to meet. If I said kids to them, they would look at me. They have no sense of entitlement. They are very much, they're great communicators. They have hearts of gold. And the other day, serendipitously, I got a call from Sarah, their mom, who I have a ton of respect for. And I have been trying to help Nate, with his golf apparel. And he's a great athlete, and he's a very gritty kid.
Yep.
But he's more than that. He's older than his age. He's 11. So his mom calls me and says, Bill, I have something to share with you, and I'm going to share this with you right here. If you would both take a look at these cards. Young Nate, at 11 years old, went out with his mom and put together a business card. He's 11. And he has the work ethic and the knowledge to know that he has to chip in. That's part of his role in his life. Well, he chokes me up because I remember when I was 11, I had the same DNA. I had this work ethic. I just wanted to work. I'm not used to seeing that in 11-year-olds. I'm used to seeing kids who want to play video games. So I am hiring him, and I've already spoken to my landscaper. I have 2 different landscapers, and they're going to work with Nate on some property that I own and learn, and they're going to coach him as well, because first of all, he'll absorb it like a sponge. He's an old soul for an 11-year-old. And Audrey, his sister, to me, she's like an angel. She's as sweet as she can be. She's principled. She is always looking down the straight and narrow. She's a straight-A student. And these kids are a reflection of what they have learned at the school. And I have the opportunity to see them in the summer times because they come and visit me all the time with my pool. And I tell Nate, it's your pool, and I'm just here. And he tells me what kind of ice pops to put in the fridge for him, and I do. I love Nate and Audrey, and I love the young people they're becoming.
Well, I wish I had a neighbor like you when I was growing up. I didn't have a neighbor who was asking me what kind of ice pops I liked or had a pool.
Well, they've had some parties there, and Audrey's is in February, so we can't use the pool, but we make it up for her later in the year. They're a great family. They love the school. I think Sarah loves what it's done for her children. And like all families, we all have challenges, and they're facing them all head on. And so, Ryan, I want to switch that to you, but I wanted you to see the entrepreneurial spirit that this young man has. I'm so proud of him.
That is so great.
Isn't that great?
It's
It is
really,
great.
it is really great.
It is great. No, I love to see that. I love to hear that.
Right.
And it just reassures me. We love the Kleins. They're dear friends to us.
Yes.
And my son is in the same class as Nathaniel.
Oh,
That's
he
right.
might, he
Audrey's
may,
in the same class as Maya and Layla. So they're dear friends of ours,
That's
and I
great.
love to see that. Which actually helps me out to know that they're hanging around the right people, right? So,
well, they come. It's Nate's pool, and you may want to call him. And if you want to make an appointment to use the pool for your kids, just let him know. He's the contact person, not me.
appreciate that.
No, I mean that.
Yeah.
You know, it's true. Even in the 21st century, when you're thinking about advertising, I'm the advancement director, right? So marketing and advertising is part of my wheelhouse.
Right.
But and we talk all the time about social media advertising and online advertising and a limited amount of print advertising. But at the end of the day, even now, there's no substitute for an enthusiastic parent or a child who represents the school well in
Right.
the community.
Right.
Just talking about what they appreciate. They're walking billboards
That's right.
for the school.
They're your
And
report
so-
card.
Yeah, that's right. They're a report card. So to get another report like this
Yes.
does our heart good. And when I say our, I mean, it's really not me. I have limited interaction with the kids. The teachers, the other administrators who are up and down the hall, partnering with parents who are like-minded produces a remarkable thing.
Right.
Your Nates and your Audreys,
That's
right?
That's right. They
And-
are just special young people. I'm glad to know that your kids interact with them. And maybe your son has been over at the pool. I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure you probably.
Nate had his birthday party there this past summer, and we bought the pizzas. We got everything to go, and he came in. He brought his golf clubs on his shoulder with his shoes, and he parked them there just to bring them with him. His passion and his willingness to want to grow is what's so impressive to me.
It is, yeah.
So I want to know a little bit about your kids because they're at that similar age, and what kind of feedback you get from them, and what you see that where the school has made a difference.
Well, I can definitely say that my son was there. He rarely ever. If there's pizza and pool involved, he's always there.
on board.
He's on board.
Okay.
So, no, I think that we had a desire to send our kids to SCCS because I kind of look at things as like a three-legged stool. If they're getting the same thing at home as they are at church, and they're getting the same thing at school, it kind of like that's where they spend the most amount of time, right? So, if they're not at a school that fosters this, then you have just a snapshot in the evening, you have something on Sunday, but then they're out in the world throughout the week. And I think that as long as we can kind of get them surrounded
Yep.
by good kids like this, great teachers who love the students and want to disciple them. Because what we wanted a Christ-centered education that cultivates, wisdom and virtue. Yeah. Because we live in a great country, a great nation. I serve this nation, and it's ours as long as we remain a moral and virtuous society. And I think that's Ben Franklin or someone said something like that. Yeah. So, we just want to make sure that, that we instill these morals and values and virtue into our kids, and they're getting it not just from us as parents, they're getting it from church, they're getting it from school, they're getting it from their friends.
So they sort of reinforce each
Exactly.
other, right? That three-legged stool. I like
Exactly.
the way you said that.
Yes.
And the teachers, honestly, when we go to hire someone, we're looking for someone who loves kids, loves the Lord, and they love to teach.
Yep.
They're passionate. We're looking for lifelong learners. And we can all, at this table, remember that teacher, or if you're fortunate, a handful of teachers who really made you fall in love with a thing,
That's right.
not because you were bent that direction, but their enthusiasm for science or literature made you take a deeper look at it, and before you knew it, you were falling in love with it. That's the kind of teacher you want up and down the hallway.
And I bet between the three of us, we can all remember who our 5th or 6th grade teacher was,
Yes.
because
Yep.
they leave indelible impressions.
They do.
Even at my advanced age, and we have 3 different decades here at the table. I will tell you, I've met lots of kids in the 26 years I've been here, and some kids are born on third base, but some kids act like they hit a triple. The truth of the matter is, a lot of them sometimes are barely born on first base. And what happens? You see these kids raised by a tough parent, where they're raised with no sense of entitlement. And it seems that it flip-flops each generation. I guess that's sort of like a lead-in to a program that you want to talk about, which gives some families a leg up that they may not have had previously. Does that work to lay the groundwork for what
Absolutely.
you want to talk about?
It does, because, as you were describing, what you were saying there, about the bases and how people are born and that sort of thing, I would say, like, one of the things that is great about this country is we all have opportunities.
Yeah.
Which is leading into what we're going to talk about next. We have opportunities. So it's what you make of that opportunity. So in what goes from there. I mean, it can open up one door, multiple doors, or it could close doors. So I always tell my kids to always take advantage of whatever opportunity you have. So if you're playing football and you get the ball one time in a game, make sure that one time counts. Or, if you're in a play, or, just take advantage of that opportunity and do your best.
Yeah.
And so, leading up to that, just recently this year, the school it opened its doors to the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarship.
Yeah.
Tell me what the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarship is, and how did it all come about with your school?
Well, one of the I'm going to let Ryan answer most of that question,
Okay.
and most of the questions pertaining to the Opportunity Scholarship and what it means for families in this community. But
Okay.
one of my passions has always been, I've been doing this for 25 years. I started working with classical Christian schools back in 2002. Well, almost 25 years. But one of my passions isn't just providing classical Christian education around the country, including Pinehurst, but affordable classical Christian education. And it's hard to deliver on that.
Right.
Because when you're trying to hire the brightest and the best, those impassioned teachers, right, it comes at a cost.
Right.
So does a $24 million campus on 60 acres, which is what we're sitting on right now, with playing fields and fountains and courtyards and academic buildings and a big gymnasium and a stage. I mean, how do you balance that? That's what the board has to deal with on a regular basis. We wanted to keep it affordable, and yet at the same time, we know that it's untenable for families that have sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4 kids, and you take that times tuition.
Right.
And it's always been difficult. So that's always there's always been a lump in my throat in regard to getting this done, for families in the community. The Opportunity Scholarship really opens the door to folks who could never even really consider this before. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. I just hijacked the conversation, but
No, that's okay. I'm very interested to hear about it, because the first that I heard about it was from Sarah, and I think it gives people opportunities that they didn't have before. That their number one passion are their children, and whatever is best for their kids is best for them. And so I'm real interested to hear how this all came about, and specifically what it is and when it gets administered.
Okay. Well, the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarship is a North Carolina program that provides state-funded scholarships, tuition scholarships, for K through 12 students, and allows them to attend any private school of their choice. So, like Gene was just mentioning, with tuition and costs and that for building a school and to have all these facilities available to children, Sometimes the school has to set a tuition that might be unattainable to some families out there. So this program allows families to attend those schools through this tuition assistance program.
And currently, only 17 states have such a program. In Georgia, it's the Georgia Promise. In Florida, it goes by a different name. So in every state where it exists, and again, it's only 17 states. We just happen to be in one of them, which is a tremendous blessing. But here, it's called the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarship. But it's been in existence around the country for up to 15 years. Arizona, Indiana, so many states, Iowa.
So obviously there would be an application. People will you have an application set to go out. What is the timing of this program?
Okay, so the timing of this program, starting around the December timeframe, families can go to the website, and I'll give you the website here. It's actually
Thank you.
k12.ncseaa.edu, and that's the North Carolina State Education Assistance Authority website. And families can first build their portal. They can actually sign up for a portal.
Okay.
Okay, so that happens in December.
Okay.
But the actual application window opens in February.
Okay.
And so they'll have 1 month to apply each of their children. So if you have 2 children, you'll apply both at the same time. And if you have 4 and so forth, they do recommend that you apply for the scholarship for each of your children in one sitting.
Okay. And when will it kick in? So the applications are made in February. Is there a lag time between the application being accepted and the program being initiated?
Yeah, so what's great about the program is you don't have to feel like you need to be the first one on the website, and to apply immediately. You have a 30-day window. You can apply any time during that window, and when you apply could be near the end, and you still get the same consideration, because the way that North Carolina does it is they'll separate the families out into tiers. They have the first tier, second tier, third, and fourth, and that's all based off of income.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a max income that you can earn, and there's a chart on the website that will say how many members are in your household, and that's in your household at the time of application.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then they'll determine what tier you fall in. And the way that they do it, they do a lottery system. So at the end of the application window, they'll close the window, and all the applicants will fall into a lottery type system, and then they'll draw the names out for that system.
Oh, okay.
So you might actually, one of your children may get accepted, the other child may not. It's just all based off of a lottery type system. And they go through the entire, all the applicants in tier 1 first, and then they'll move on to tier 2, run through the lottery system in that tier, and then so forth all the way through 3 and 4.
Okay. We're going to wind down and come back in the third set, but the question I want to ask you guys at the beginning of the third set is, how many parents who have perhaps looked into Sandhills Classical Christian but for whatever reason couldn't make it happen will come back because of this program? This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our third set with Gene and Ryan talking all about Sandhills Classical Christian. We started, Ryan, talking about the Opportunity Scholarship, which is very exciting. And I wonder how many people who may have looked at the school but didn't move on it a year ago or 2 years ago would now come back. Your campus now, you have the space, you have the facilities, you have the campus is gorgeous. For those who haven't seen it, I encourage them to drive by Raysbridge Road and take a look at what is there. It's very civilized, it's very peaceful. It almost looks like a small college.
It does, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Doesn't it? I think it does. But this should open the door for people who are not presently enrolled with their kids in the school.
Oh, absolutely.
It absolutely should. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, my wife and I, we love the school. Our kids love the school. It's great to be in that environment of, you know, it is just great. And I would say, yeah, I think that it would open the door for a lot of families. I don't have the numbers directly in front of me, but I do know there were probably about 20 students this past year that we were counting on enrollment and that decided not to attend because they just couldn't afford it.
Sure.
And that was the driving factor in not returning to the school, was just affordability. Not, no other issue. That was the thing. Yeah, we're excited for what this can mean for lots of families. We're at 92.5% capacity K to 12.
Are you really?
So we have a little bit of space in almost every grade, and we'd like to see those seats filled to accomplish our mission in the community. We'd like to, an empty seat makes me sad.
You were telling me back in 2019 you had a total of 169 students enrolled. Today it's about 509. What is the size of your graduating class this year? Because that's where, that's going to have to grow each year with all the people coming in lower grades.
That's right. It actually doubles this year. We're very excited. So we graduated 10 last year. We'll have 20 graduates this year. The following year, it'll increase again. I believe it's our 10th grade that has 2 full sections, which would give us 36, 18 plus 18 there.
Right.
But when you go all the way down then to 4th grade, now we have 3 sections. So we're bringing that 3rd section up.
Right.
We've built a campus to be able to accommodate 725 students K to 12.
Okay.
Now we've also got that preschool, 2 preschools, one in Southern Pines, one in Pinehurst, that have 140 students. So the preschool is a separate thing, very much a part of us. But when we're talking about these numbers here and what we're building on Raysbridge Road, we're building for 720, and we have 509 currently. But yes, up from 169 when I arrived here in July of 2019. Mm-hmm. So it's been remarkable. We're all a little tired. We're mostly grateful, but we're also a little tired, just with trying to keep up with the demand and get that next building up. And it's been a journey.
I've noticed on social media, there's been a real large emphasis on sports, activities. You have a field house. I notice you've got different teams being fielded. I know Audrey is an avid volleyball player, loves it. She plans for it like a young adult. I love the hyper focus of the kids, right? And not just the Kleins, but other kids. I love that kids are hyper focused because I can't say that's always the case.
That's right.
It's an important part of development. We do believe the sports and extracurricular activities are an important part of just like I said, developing the kids. So they get a certain, they get the classroom environment, but then they get to apply how to act on a field.
That's right.
Sportsmanship and with other teammates.
And the competition is also good for the soul.
It's
the
always
competitive
good.
Spirit.
Yeah, I had boys that played football, all 3 of them, and I always said your theology gets worked out on the playing field.
Right.
You get to learn how to give a hit and how to take a hit.
Right.
And when you're given a hit, you pop that opponent back up and say, "Let's do it again."
Do it, yeah.
Let's do it again.
But you do it with grace.
You
right.
do it with
Absolutely.
You do it with grace. Amen. That's exactly right. We this is our first year. Again, we're just talking about maturing and growing in different areas, but this is the first year that our school is part of the North Carolina Independent School Athletic Association. So it's sort of the big leagues when it comes to athletics, and you get invited in. And so it will change the conferences that we're a part of, the teams that we're playing, allows us a road or an avenue to go to playoffs and the state championship. And so,
What are the sports?
Exciting.
What are the sports that you're competing in right now? For
Well,
boys and girls.
Boys and girls. In this fall we have football, we have cross country, we have
Boys soccer. Yep.
we have volleyball.
Right.
Then we start rolling into the winter with basketball.
Right.
And I'm trying to think what else we have in
Basketball, and then next year we're talking about adding wrestling in the winter because it is just basketball. But then in the spring, goodness, we've got track and we have golf and we have
Girls soccer.
girls soccer in the spring, and
Good.
I'm sure we're missing something. But on our website,
Yeah, it's all there.
It's all there on our website. But again, just like in the classroom, finding teachers, coaches play such an important role in the life of a child. I tell you,
That's right.
I'd be sitting around the table with my wife, and one of my sons would say something like, "Coach says," and then they'd go on to explain what Coach said. And I'd look across the table at my wife, and I'd whisper, I'd say, "I have said that 150 times." But it didn't matter that Dad said it. Coach says it once.
That's right.
It's crazy.
That's right.
The influence of a good coach
Right.
or a good teacher, or even conversely, a
Yes.
bad coach.
Yep.
And so we look carefully at who are the folks that are speaking into the lives of the kids that we've been entrusted with at the school. And it's all important. All of it counts.
And that's what brings it all around to like the three-legged stool that I was talking about, because they need that influence from everybody in their life. And so if you think that you're going to impart all this wisdom, you alone, on your children, I think that you might be wrong. It might be a little bit naive.
Characterize for me the communication you have with your kids since they've been at Sandhills Classical Christian. How it's improved, how it's gotten better. How do they speak with you? Are they rebellious? Are they, you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, and I would say our kids are not rebellious. I think that they're just normal kids. They want to know what the boundaries are, and they test the boundaries a little bit here and there, which is good.
Yeah.
We want them to kind of know what the boundaries are. But the conversation always goes back. Well, I know what you're getting at school. I know what you're getting at home, and I know what you're getting at church. And so, what you're trying to drive to is not consistent with what is being sowed into your life. So
That's right.
it actually helps the conversation a lot.
And when the standard is the same, the expectation is the same across those three areas, it's remarkable how kids respond. They're almost comforted by the fact that you don't have different rules at different places, right? And I think kids are always going to challenge. My goodness, when they're in the middle school, it's a stage that they're in. They're always asking why and who says, and they don't do that when they're younger. But when they get a little older, they're going to ask.
Right.
The goal is to get them though to ask respectfully. I mean, this whole rendering honor to whom honor is due. I don't mind being challenged. I may very well mind how I'm being challenged by a youngster. And so
Right.
that's the kind of thing we build in. When the teacher's talking, you don't speak because it's disrespectful to do that, right? So we try and bring things back to biblical principles too. The community smells different. I mean, if you take a big whiff of our school, you walk into a hallway, I pray that it would smell a little different than other educational options that are out there, because we make certain claims about who we are, which takes us back to our DNA, which we started the show with.
I have you had a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to, piggyback on that, because, the big thing with our kids is I don't want to tell them what to think. I want to teach them how to think.
Right.
And so whenever they bring something to myself or my wife, I want them to be able to articulate their case or articulate their point of view with, reason.
Well stated. One last question before we have to wind down. How do you deal with, and how does a school deal with the kids in this crazy world we live in with social media?
Well, and unfortunately, I think that the school can't put out a policy per se to drive into the homes
Right.
on social media. But I can speak for my household alone.
Sure.
I personally do not do social media. My wife doesn't do social media, and we don't allow our kids to do social media.
Can I move into your house? Because I've lost weight. I have a lot of anxiety. The stimulation is too much.
Yeah.
Funny. We do have a phone. I mean, there are, you see states wrestling with this now.
Yeah.
Just this weekend, there are several states in the news that are adopting policies in public education in regard to phones and access during the day. It's a big distraction. It's a problem. So we've had. Go ahead.
And no, and actually, like phones are are important because as the kids get older and they have practices and sometimes or play rehearsal, we need to know what time to pick them up. So our older, we have like a house phone that is like just a cell phone that has no web service, no social media allowed on it. There's plenty of phones out there like that, the Gab phone, the Pinwheel, all sorts of things. And so they actually have a phone that they can text their friends. I mean, just like I called my friends when I was a kid on that rotary dial phone.
Me too.
But they can call their
Rotary
friends, they
dial.
can text their friends, but they don't have access to the internet.
I see. Because that social media does challenge kids. The temptation to go on and the misinformation that's out there, and it's
It
an
challenges-
unhealthy field
It challenges all of us, doesn't it?
of germs. It
Adults
really
as
does.
well. Adults as well.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming in. And Ryan, it was a pleasure to meet you. Gene, you are always welcome back. I do want people to, and we will post on the podcast, your website is very intuitive. It's very easy to navigate. I would invite people to get on the website and look through the board of directors, look through the teachers, some pictures of the students, and you've given us some great pictures to share, which we will. And great news about this opportunity scholarship because kids, like when I go back to Nate and Audrey and I think of all the other students, they will become better people because of the quality of their education, and to be able to make it more affordable is a lifelong gift to these kids, which they will give in turn to their children.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
It was a pleasure to have you both on.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
My pleasure. This is All Things Moore County. Have a great week. Thank you.